Hey, what's going on? This is B from Kongs R Us, and so you might have gotten an iiRcade. So the company went out of business. So you didn't realize how lucky you were that you struck gold and just got the greatest MAME cabinet ever built, because that's what this mod is going to be able to get you to do. Become the greatest MAME machine ever. All right. And how we're going to do this, we are going to go over to team-encoder.com. These guys are the ones that have been working together with Nix from Custom Arcade to bring you the mystery Interstellar Arcadiian mod for the iiRcade. They call it MIA for short. I don't know if they could have come up with a better title. I remember hearing Mr. Encoder saying he was going to name it after my wife. So, you know, he's a liar.
So if we have to develop our own adapter to connect to that, I will literally put Mrs. Kong's plug and play on the adapter. I will ask the guy.
I love it.
But that's okay. You now have MIA for short, MIA, whatever you want to call it, as the mod to be able to add in pretty much any MAME game that you could play on your PC, you can play on here. We're given some different, certain parameters, but if you can run a game through MAME 221, which is the version that's on here, you can get it on your iiRcade. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a demo on how to make sure you can test the game on your PC, upload it using this new MIA software, show you a little bit how to even get it to the point where you can add games, and then we'll do some demo gameplay and we'll get started. Okay, the first thing you're gonna need in order to do this is this device. So Custom Arcade put together this USB enabler Bankrupt edition, and I actually have a version of it right here and hand that you guys can see. So this version of the Interstellar thingamabobber is something that I had a pre-production version of it before when you saw my live stream. So this is the hands-on version of it. So I'm gonna do an unboxing. I really like how the box comes very clean for 25 bucks plus shipping. Contents may cause excitement. So Custom Arcade, check him out. He does some other stuff for iiGames products as well. But this is his first foray into offering something for the iiRcade, and this was popular at this recording time of this video. The swords have been sold out, so if you didn't get one, put yourself on to notify me, but pretty much he does have instructions on how to get this installed. So I'm going to carefully open this up so I can show you the contents and not show anything else. That's pretty much what it comes off with. And you get a USB cable. You have to use this USB-C cable that it comes with. They do recommend using this and not any other ones because people have had issues. And here it is, the Custom Arcade. Nice little cover. I love that it comes in this nice, great packaging here. This package is super small, but for in it, you get a custom PCB. This one is all black, says Custom Arcade. There it is. All right, Custom Arcade USB enabler Bankrupt edition. You have the go for broke button on the bottom here and the mystery button. So you're going to be able to press these buttons when you do the actual flashing of your iiRcade PCB. The backside, you have a USB-A port as well as a USB-C port for the programming. And it comes in this beautiful 3D printed case with some nice fun little shapes and designs on the bottom, so you could only put it in one way. Even put a little arrow here to make sure that you're putting in towards the outside of the USB. But you know what? I've always been curious about what's on the underside of this thing. So let's go down a little kind of mystery trip and see if there's anything else under here that might be a little bit of a secret. I think this is really cool to, break things open and see how things work. I don't recommend you doing this at all. You do not have to undo these screws. It comes automatically screwed on for your protection. But is there anything on the backside of this thing? I've always wondered if there's anything here. And oh my God, there must be a message here. What does this say? It says, Mystery Encoder totally deleted these games. Yeah, that's right. If you go to that YouTube URL and that QR code, you will absolutely see video documentation from Toxin. Thanks, my man. That Mystery Encoder totally deleted my games. It has been etched in the history of this mod forever. So thank you, Mr. Encoder, for telling me to hit that C button. Don't worry, we'll tell you when not to hit that C button later on in the video, but you did it, man. It's been etched in history. All right, so I just want to show off the inside of the rest of the 3D print. This is a high quality 3D print. So between this PCB put together, I mean, this is absolutely worth the $25 worth shipping. If you haven't gotten one yet and you didn't get on the pre-order batch number 2, make sure you put yourself on the notify me in case there's a batch 3. You said there's probably not going to be one, but I mean, this is just a cool little device that you can. If you're an iiRcade owner, you absolutely must have this device if you're going to be able to add more things to it in the future and back up your arcade stuff. So let's get into how to install this into your iiRcade. All right, I'm going to start off on the A Custom Arcade website. So if you go to the link here that's in the Team Encoder website, you can go directly to the page as well as clicking on this little QR code right here. This has great written instructions on how to actually install this little USB enabler into your iiRcade. I highly recommend following these directions here. If you have a stock iiRcade and you've not modded anything here, it says to take off the back cover, unplug everything. You're going to unplug the power, the audio, the monitor. You're going to remove the screws, to remove the panel, take off the bottom side of everything, locate these pitter heads where you have these enabler things as well. This is where you're going to plug this stuff into. It's going to plug in facing outwards, and then you will have your board there. So the reason why I show you the stock instructions, because I've heavily modded my iiRcade. I've already removed the board from its original bottom, so my tutorial will be different than what yours is, but essentially follow Nix's instructions. It's very good. All right, and make sure that you join the Team Encoder Discord by clicking this link here. It'll take you to the Team Encoder public Discord page. On the rules and roles section, make sure you click on the iiRcade Mystery Interstellar Arcade, and you'll get access to some of the future download support features. There's a good community that's been growing for people doing this mod, so highly recommend joining that, getting the latest and greatest in case there might be updates to this in the future. You could always check the public public website, but Discord, you'll get it there first as well. All right, so let's go ahead and show a live demo of putting this board into your iiRcade machine. Again, this is already modded, as you can tell. So if you're going to be modding this, you want to make sure that you are completely out of any games. You actually want to make sure you're completely shut down everything. So turn off your iiRcade. Make sure you unplug everything completely, because there is some residual power, even though the power is off, going into your board. And so I'm going to unplug everything here. Okay. So as the directions say, it says to go in from the back side, but for me, I'm going to go to the front just because I already have everything uninstalled, just so you can see what it looks like. All right, now we're going to do a demo of how to install this onto your iiRcade. Now, I do recommend following Nick's instructions if you have a brand new arcade that you haven't modded, and going through the backside and plugging everything, removing the panel. I've already done that several times because I've modded my iiRcade. So once you unscrew the sides, there's 2 bolts on the side here. Make sure you remove the screen so that you can, if it's an IR glass or the stock one, just put it off to the side so it doesn't get more scratched up than it can already do. The control panel itself is still kind of attached to a lot of different parts. So you want to make sure that you don't kind of take this off and move everything else accordingly. So for me, I'm just going to move it off to the side slightly so you can see all the stuff that I have in here. I have a lot of stuff in here. So for me, I've already permanently attached my board to the bottom. I just removed the entire front or the bottom plate of this because I really don't need it. The big mod that I've done on here as well that I highly recommend is Glenn's GRS gate switcher here. This changes automatically from an 8-way to a 4-way gate through the press of a button, and I relocated my power button to the front of the cabinet because I kept pressing it and my cats kept sitting out, so I just relocated it and made it easier for me. So those are just the mods that I've already done to this. Your cabinet will look slightly different. Okay, so this part is super simple. Again, you have your USB enabler kind of Bankrupt edition. This is only about 2 inches wide. It's going to stick out with the enabler USB port sticking out. It should just fit in one way, and just press down and you're done. That's it. The USB ports are going to be facing outwards on the board, and you should have a little bit of wiggle room to press the 2 buttons, and you're going to have to be able to press the 2 buttons on the inside. So I would recommend maybe doing this mod before you mount the board. I've already kind of done this already, but you're going to be able to need to press the go for broke button and then press the mystery button too in just a second. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to get your board prepped for programming mode, to back up your board as well as flash it, and then we're going to switch it back to OS mode, and then that way you can start loading in all your games. Okay, next up, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're using the stock USB-C adapter cable that they gave you and plug in this USB-C cable to this board. You're essentially gonna leave this plugged in pretty much permanently at this point. There's no reason to take off this USB-C port from this particular portion of the board. This is gonna stay connected to the board. And then for this wire, you have a couple of different options. Like there's a little hole in the front of these little slots here of your iiRcade. You can just kind of like slot these through here. I made mine a little bit extra bigger, but highly recommend just putting it through the slot. And then eventually when you're not using it, you can, pull it back up and retract it. But this will give you easy access via USB cable to access your board, because you're going to need to plug this in pretty frequently if you're going to be modding your board. This extra USB port, this USB-A port, is going to be used for a couple of different things. This will finally give you extra USB ports to use a stock send-in gun with your iiRcade Gen 1 edition. So this is really cool. It also provides a little bit of power if you have additional devices in here. Most notably, this device needs a USB power input, 5-volt input. So this port can power the device for this too, which is another little benefit of this. Unfortunately, there's only one port that's coming out of there. And if you want to use multiple send-ins eventually, you're gonna have to get something else like a USB hub. So I'm actually going to install this Sabric USB hub into this. Another idea that I can do with my USB port is that eventually I could just mount this underneath the bottom right here and just kind of stick in the wire through here. And that way I'll have a clean way to access the USB ports just for my devices into the cabinet here. So I'm just gonna leave this on this underside, and I'll probably use double-sided tape to mount this onto the bottom, just like that. All right, now let's get back to the Team Encoder website so we can go over a couple different things in terms of the software itself. Here's some things you definitely want to read through. You have to use a Windows PC. You definitely want to perform a backup of the drive. It's one of the key things of features you have to be able to back up your entire system, that have at least 140 gigs of space to do so. You can't run this application from the OneDrive folder, aka your desktop. It's going to give you an error if you do so. So you want to put it on your C drive, somewhere else as well. You want to turn off your power sleep hibernation mode so your PC doesn't fall asleep while you're doing this as well. You always have to use the USB cable that it comes with. 7-zip is one of the files used to extract everything, and now they've even made it extra dummy proof for for anybody that's trying this out. There's two versions of the installer. There's one that's just a straight 7-zip file, which is kind of like a zip file that you unzip, unarchive, if you will. And they created an installer that will actually unzip everything for you. And that's all the installer does, because some people weren't familiar with how to use 7-zip. So those are the two different things that you have to be able to use. To be able to get the software on, you're going to install the drivers, back up the board, flash the board, push iiRcades games. We're going to go through all this stuff here as well on how to get this going. So both the 7-zip file and the installer are about 500 megabytes, so it will take just a little bit of time to install them. For the 7-zip file, if you already have 7-zip downloaded, which is a link in the description below, all you need to do is right-click this file, go to the 7-zip file, click on Extract Files, select the destination that you want to go to, not the desktop like I mentioned. Just put it maybe into your downloads or onto your C drive directly, and just hit OK. And then it's going to unzip the files. If you double check where everything got downloaded to, everything got downloaded to the download section. So I just selected that, and here is the MIA RC5 folder that just got unzipped right now. Another option, if you use the installer itself, you double click on the installer, it's going to bring up the software interface like you see with most programs when you're installing it onto your Windows PC. It's going to verify the integrity of the archive, all that good stuff. Got some official language, mumbo jumbo license agreements, which I'm sure everybody takes the time to read. You're signing your life away to Team Encoder by filling out and hitting the next agree. I agree. You're going to select the installation of where you're going to be able to put this. I do recommend wherever you're going to put it to create a folder ahead of time, because otherwise it's not going to work right correctly. So if I go to my desktop and hit the new folder, I'm just going to call this MIA. All right, so we have the MIA folder right there on my desktop. I'm going to click Browse, go to the OS, and go to MIA folder. So it's going to just pretty much extract everything into that MIA folder, just like if you use 7-zip. The installer is easy. but I recommend 7-zip. It's just that much easier for you to do, and it's definitely faster than the installer. But up to you which one you want to use. All you're going to do is just get the file folder structure in a place that's not your OneDrive desktop. All right, it says installation is completed. You've been successfully installed. Click finish to close installmate. There it is. All right, so let's go ahead and check our MIA folder and see if everything installed correctly. There should be a shortcut now on your desktop. We're going to double click on this or click on the shortcut. And now we have the Mystery Interstellar Arcadiian. All right, so let's go ahead and plug in our USB device into our PC. All right, after we have installed the USB cables into our device, we do have to plug it into our PC and install the drivers. Now, I've already done this on my PC, so unfortunately, I won't be able to show you exactly how to do this step, but luckily the team at Team Encoder has put together a really written guide, written guide here. Kudos to you, Mr. Encoder. And all you got to do is plug it in, hit that install drivers button. So you'll see this log here that says PCB not detected or driver not installed yet. This button on the top left will be lit up. When you click it, you'll see the arcade driver system pop up. Hit that install driver button, let it complete on the Windows security pop-up screen. If you see this, click on the Always Trust software and then install it. So once you do that, you should be able to get that installed driver okay, and then you'll be good with the drivers. You only need to do this one time. After that, after you've linked up, you'll see a little notification that says PCB has been detected and driver has been installed, and we can get to our next step. All right, and before I show you the demo of the next step, let me just walk you through what that USB-C and programming mode is. So this is the written guide. I highly recommend that you read through this before you go through this tutorial as well, so you can get familiar with all the pieces and parts. But here, once you plug this into the board, there's two buttons, the Go for Broke button and the Mystery button. What we're gonna do is we're gonna hold down the Go for Broke button, and while we're holding it down, we're gonna just press the Mystery button once and let go while holding the Go for Broke. Does that make sense? You hold Go for Broke, you press the button for Mystery and you let it go, and you hold Go for Broke, and eventually you'll start to hear this mystery sound, and that's how you know it worked. Let's go ahead and try it on our board and see if it works. Let's go ahead and do a quick demo of that right now. All right, now I've launched the application. It says my PCB is in OS mode and detected, and the driver is installed. Normally, it wouldn't say push to iiRcade games because we haven't flashed the board yet, but I've already done that step, so ignore this. What we're gonna do now is we're going to put this into programming mode or Go for Broke mode. In order to do that, we do have to press some buttons on the actual little device here or there. So right now, the screen is on. What we're gonna do is open up the window so that you have the application up and running. We're gonna hold down the Go for Broke button just continually, and we're gonna press the Mystery button just once, and you should start to hear some chimes. The iiRcade is going to shut down, and it's going to chime one more time, and you should hear that. Yeah, Mr. Encoder has a funny sense of humor. But after you hear that chime and that noise and that little rocket ship zooming through the sky, you can let go, and now your Interstellar UI should be changed, and you should access now the backup board, restore board, and flash board options. All right, now once you've heard all those chimes and that favorite rocket ship, you can now back up your board. So this is really key. It's one of the main reasons to get this board, where you can make an image of your entire iiRcade system. Think of it as not just backing up the games, but your entire hard drive for your PC or whatever it is. It's gonna take about 3 hours for a 64 gigabyte iiRcade, and about 6 hours for a 128 gigabyte iiRcade. So leave it on overnight. Make sure your PC doesn't fall asleep when you do it. Click on that backup board. It's gonna restore a copy to your PC. And once it's done, you should be able to click on this restore button in case anything ever happens. So you now have a safe backup copy of the software of your iiRcade. If anything gets deleted accidentally, if you hit the C button or something like that, like I don't know who has ever told you to delete all your games, Mr. Encoder. But yes, you have a backup of your iiRcade now. All right, the last thing you're gonna do here is click on this flash board. When you click on the flash board, this process takes about 20 to 30 minutes or so. When you click on it, it's going to just go through its checks there, make sure everything is ready to flash, and we'll come back in about 20-30 minutes or so. Fast forward, go. All right, that took a little bit longer than I expected, so I took a quick little potty break, but it's okay, I'm back, and now it says that uploading new system partition has been 100% completed. If no error is displayed above, we can assume things are installed successfully, and you can now load the games. Press the mystery button to reset the cabinet and boot into the stock OS. So yes, we're gonna go back into our little stream thingy here, my bobber, and yeah, all we need to do is just press that button one more time and it's going to reboot this whole screen back into the stock OS. So we're just going to reach back in here, press mystery button, and that's it. Now we can go ahead and close up our board one last time. So we're going to go move this out of here. I'm going to carefully just put my board back right here so it's all back in one piece, and we won't need to touch the mystery button thingy that much anymore. So let's go ahead and let this reset. Let's get to adding in some extra goodies, and we're going to show you all how to do that. All right, now we're going to get into how to push some amazing MAME games. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, this will be the ultimate MAME cabinets. Yes, you can do a lot more, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to focus on what you can do to add in extra MAME 0.221 games onto your iiRcade. So you can do that back in this OS mode. Essentially, once you're here, you're going to click on this APK ROM configurator. There's this whole configuration thing. Read through this whole website here on how to do this. I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to do this as well, but there's a lot of great information on here. I'm not going to tell you where to get your ROMs and what to do, but I will show you some best tips and practices that I had when I played this and set up some of the games that I had. So please go to this website. Oh my goodness, there's so much information on here. Kudos to you, Mr. Encoder and team, for writing this up. But let's get into it here so that you can see how I did this for this demo. Okay, so the unofficial APK ROM configurator. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this package zip folder that has to have certain types of files in order for things to work. We're going to put it in the iiGames folder. It's going to create a background image for the stock interface. It's going to create this instruction sheet, but you're going to have to do some Photoshop editing to get that instructions page looking nice and clean. And then we can label the game title. We're going to put it in a category, and then we're going to upload it to the system. So it's going to be pretty much as customized as you want to, or as lazy as you want to. So here's what I really recommend. First off, though, I really recommend before you get into any of this, you got to decide which games you want, and you got to test to make sure that they work first. In order to do that, I highly recommend grabbing MAME 221. Actually, just going to the MAME website. You can actually go here, click on old, official GitHub stuff, and you can find their releases and go further back to previous releases, and you can scroll all the way to which MAME versions they have. Get MAME 221, and you can just download it directly from the GitHub website. So MAME is an emulation system. There's no ROMs or anything that's included in here. So grab MAME 221, install onto your desktop, and then for whatever ROMs that you want to try to test out, make sure they work first with the PC version of MAME. So for example, this is the version of MAME that I grabbed on here. We're going to, open up one of the games right here. So MAME 64. And I already grabbed a couple of different ROMs. It's so easy to grab, a ROM of your choice. Just Google it. You might find some places to find it on different emulation websites, maybe archive stuff if you want to take a look at that. If you click on the available, you can see the different types of ROMs that I've actually grabbed ahead of time. Some of them don't work automatically. Some of them do. But let's say, Raiden. Raiden is actually one of the few games that I've always wanted to play on the iiRcade. So if we double click on Raiden, and just to make sure it works, it says there's some known issues, but if it loads up, then it's going to work with this system here. So that's it. All you need to do is load it up and test it. If by chance, for any reason that it's not working, right? Let me show you an example of something that's not working. All right, so let me show you an example. If you find one of the ROMs that you grabbed is not working, so one of the best shooters of all time, shmups, I think, is Super Space Fortress Macross. I'm a huge Macross fan, if you couldn't tell. But when I clicked on the ROM version that I got for this Macross, it says select the machine is missing one or more required ROM or CHD images. Please select a different machine. It gives you the file that's actually missing, this NMK004 bin. It's not found. So the easiest way to actually fix this, so this is why you want to test it first on your PC before you do it on the system, because if you do it on the system, you give you an error, it's just going to give you a blank screen. You can just Google that actual file, nmk004.bin file, and you can grab it from another ROM. There's different places that you should be able to secure it in the ROM for that actual file itself. You just open up that zip file and you should be able to find that particular ROM or that file that you have. This is a different version of that Macross ROM that has that file that I was missing, that MK400 bin thingamabobber. That's the one that I was missing. Just gonna drag this over, unzip it here and then move it over there. Yeah, this is the file that I was missing for the file that I was having a second ago. So, okay, so now that I added this little file there to that folder, that's as simple as if you see anything that's missing, opening up MAME one more time, and then launching that particular tile should work exactly as it is. So running it on your PC is absolutely a best practice to make sure that it absolutely works. The ROM version that you grabbed works with MAME 221. If it doesn't, it's going to give you the right error to be able to fix that. So don't just start loading up random games. Just start loading up random shit onto your iiRcade. You got to make sure you test it first to make sure that it works and runs properly. So if you could do that, test your ROM first and you're ready to go. You are ready to now add this into your iiRcade. So let's actually work on Raiden. Raiden is one of the games that I really wanted to have on my iiRcade for a long time. So we're going to start off here by creating a new games IR file. So one of the things that we recommend is naming this file the same as the name of the ROM file path. Make sure there's no spaces or any other characters there. So for example, the ROM set that I'm looking for, clicking here, we're going to go into the ROMs folder that I had for my MAME. Again, I grabbed these from different websites. You have to look for them yourselves. We're going to look at Raiden zip. That's all it's called. I'm going to create a new games file. I'm going to call this file exactly the same thing, Raiden zip. That's it. Doesn't matter what you call it, but this is automatically going to put this into your iiGames folder for the same folder that you set up your file system. So we have the Raiden zip folder that was creating a new game file. We've selected the ROM APK for everything. Oh, maybe I did it backwards. Once I do that, I have to do this again. Okay, so create your new games file Raiden. Then we're going to go back to wherever the heck the ROM was that I just had. So Raiden. Okay. From there, we're going to select instruction image and background image. So there's two different images here. This instruction image is when you launch the game, it's going to give you the picture of the joystick panel and then the games. So the cool thing is that the guys at A Custom Arcade Nix created these PSD instruction templates right here for both the Sinden and for your regular stock controller. So he was kind enough to do this. And so if you have Photoshop, this is going to be the best way to make a nice, clean version of the instructions for this. When you load it up and you have the layers, I'm just going to double click on the title section. We're going to change this to Raiden. It's a 1-player game or a 2-player game. I believe this is a 2-player game, so we can change that. Let's see if we can click on that. Can I change that? It is, yeah, 2-player. Okay, not 12-player, 2-player. All right, so it's 2-player. You can change the settings here. So everything here, this is a 4-way joystick. We can change that to an 8-way joystick. So we're going to go to the layers and change that to an 8-way joystick. Remove the layer for 4-way there. We're going to click on button A as shoot, button B as bomb. Yeah, and I believe just going to copy that and double click on here. So if you never used Photoshop before, this might be a little bit tricky. I'm hoping the Team Encoder guys make a blank version of this for people to edit this as well. You don't have to go through this step, but I think it makes it nice and clean for all these other buttons here that aren't being used in the game, because Raiden is just a 2-button game. It's just shoot and bomb. You don't really need the rest of these buttons here. So you can actually go in here, and I believe you can just remove them, remove the backing from them as well. So we're just going to remove the backing from these right there. Let's remove the backing from these first players, 2, 3, 4 right there. And then I think we can get rid of the actual labels that are there. So we can just hide these little buttons there, and let's hide the logos for these. Okay, So now we're left with just shoot and bomb, and player 2, player 1 move, and that's it. So let's go ahead and hit save as. We're gonna save as a JPEG file. I'm just gonna save this onto my desktop for right now. So Raiden instructions. This is just a little bit more of a deeper tutorial on how to make sure that you can get a clean version of the instructions here. And so that's step number 1. So now we have the instructions for our Raiden file. We're going to set image as that Raiden file there. That's just a quick little Photoshop demo, but again, you don't have to do this step, but it is nice to go to that clean step. Next, we're just going to go to Google and just Google an image of the Raiden arcade game. So the true image itself, you do kind of have to resize it if you want to optimize it. So here's a nice little Wikipedia version of Raiden. It looks a little bit low quality. So we're going to try to click on one and see if we can get one that's a little bit higher quality. Let's see. So you can do that one. You can do this one. Ooh, this one looks really good right there. I like that. Okay, so we're going to save this image onto our desktop or downloads. Okay. So from here, let's do that. Now let's open up that file in Photoshop. So we're going to open up that file that we just downloaded from our desktop. Okay, here it is. So the image resolution that you're looking for is 1280 by 1024. So I mean, one of the things you can do is you can just 1280 by 1024 is something that you can just resize it yourself like this. You can crop it to another size image. It's automatically going to do this for you if you just find any random image. But if you're going to try to spend a little bit of time making a nice background image, you can resize it to that exact pixel right and get a high res image. It's going to get one and size it up to that size. So if you can just save it to that, Raiden BG 1280 by 1024 is the kind of resolution that you're looking for. You can use any image that you want to. Right now there's a default image if you're not going to use that. So just make sure that you update that to whatever you want to. All right, so here the category is Interstellar Loaded. This is the default new category that is put on here, which means that these are games that were added after the iiRcade, but you can use an existing category. So iiRcade does have a shooter category. So I'm going to type in the word shooter. So it goes into the shooter category. I might eventually create a shmup category. So if I can move stuff around, save some hints on future games manager where we can do that. But right now I'm going to use the existing iiRcade shooter structure, and I'm going to name this file Raiden. Okay, there's some other things that are listed here. The rating system, you really don't need to do anything with. It's 0, it's everyone, teenage, and mature. You don't really have to change anything there. This is an 8-way stick. You can change it to 4-way, 2-way, or 4-way dynamic. And then display, I'm not sure what this is for, but just leave it by default at 0. It has to do with HDMI, different displays. And yes, there's a checkbox for HDMI allowed. This was another option configuration. I think Mr. Encoder was saying that for future games, for Sega titles, you might be able to re-enable the HDMI output that was disabled previously. And you could select the ROM type as an APK, or a Colico, or a ROM. So that's it. So we have everything that we did. We created the game file, set the ROM, set the instruction image, hitting that, configure inputs. This might be a little bit of a tricky step. Okay, this looks really complicated. I know. It looks a lot complicated. The joystick up, down, left, right. You got button A, B, C, X, Y, Z, start, and coin. It's a lot here. 8 buttons, 4 joysticks. Your mode is all set to unused by default. It can be set to digital, analog, touch, swipe, mouse. This is for people that want to tinker with custom controls for games that need those custom controls. Right now, the best games that you're going to want to pick to use are ones that are just basic joystick and basic buttons. That's all you're going to want right now. Eventually, they'll be able to add in some additional support for the games that have spinners and things with Glenn's deck as well. Maybe some Sin light guns in a future tutorial, but for now, your standard arcade is a joystick with 6 buttons for player 1 and 2. That is a great multi-cade setup for a lot of games that you can use just with buttons and sticks. So with that setup, everything is set up. All you got to do is hit save input config by default. Again, if I open this up, even fighting games are actually set up right now for that 6-button layup. by default. You don't need to touch anything here. Everything's already been kind of configured and set up for you to work with MAME. Up, down, left, right is going to work. ABC is going to be button 1, 2, 3. XYZ is going to be button number 4, 5, 6 in MAME. So it's already kind of pre-mapped for you. You don't need to do anything. It's going to work. Start and corner are going to work exactly the same. If eventually you want to change one of the buttons to something else, you can go back in here and edit it and do it again later. But for now, just hit save input, config, try it out. You can always go back and fix it later. All right, now we're going to hit this build iiGames zip. There it is. If you got here without the zip is built and you can push it now, we now have a Raiden zip file that we can push to the iiRcade folder. So let's go ahead and do that right now and show you what happens. All right, just to kind of show you where that configuration thing build your games, it is in your MIA folder, wherever you unzipped it to, on the iiGames folder. So it's now under here, under this Raiden zip file here. If you open this up, it's going to have a couple things in there. It's going to be in this games file structure. It's going to have a background, games, instruction, the Raiden config. It's all this good stuff was already prepackaged for you. You don't need to do anything with this, okay? So as long as it's under the iiGames folder, we can now click this push iiRcade games button. You can see on the screen, I have my iiRcade in the background running around. So let's go ahead and press this push iiRcade game so you can see what happens. It says, bum, 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 bum. It's thinking. Fixing Android permissions is what it says. And uploading Raiden zip, all games uploaded. Batch installer is there. Do not depress the delete button. That should be it for the software. Push games is finished. Connect the new boot or reconnect. Okay, so another couple things that happened. I'm going to show you what happened on the iiRcade itself in just a second. But now it created this iiGames installed folder. So if you go back to your folder here under iiGames, it is now nothing here. It is now moved to the installed folder so that when you do this again, it moves it to this folder so you don't mistakenly upload it again. If you're gonna install a new game, it's gonna show up in this space here. All right, let's see what's going on with the iiRcade and we can finish up the installation demo. All right, so on the iiRcade, it has the game installed. This is kind of the stock install interface. And so this is where Mr. Encoder told me to hit the C button. Do not hit the C button. This will delete everything. Big fat warning. Don't do this. Don't hit this button, okay? Don't do it. All right, hit the A button. We're gonna install everything, and then afterwards the install is complete. We're gonna exit, and unfortunately these are games that I've loaded up already. It is gonna not be in the shooter section because at the moment it doesn't work right away. Unfortunately, we had to restart the whole system. So I'm gonna hit the restart button again. I re-push the button to the other section here. So I'm gonna restart my iiRcade, and then afterwards we should be able to test if Raiden works. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're gonna see if this is working in just a second. All right, so machine is off. Let's test it one more time. We're gonna turn it back on. Again, what I did just for people's curiosity is that since the power button used to be up here, my cat would sit on the power button in the middle of the night, and then the volume switch would be over here, and he'd wake up the entire house by turning on the whole freaking cabin accidentally. So I had to move the power switch to a different location, so it didn't do that. So anyways, that's the story of why the iiRcade button has been moved, and this is the gate switcher for Glenn's stick there. Okay, let's go ahead and switch that back over so we can get to the iiRcade back onto screen. All right, so we've rebooted the system one more time so you can see everything that's here. We're gonna swing all the way over to our shooter playlist, and we should see in the R section, oh, did I spell it wrong? Shooter, huh? That's funny. Earlier I put it the game in the correct space, but I thought I spelled shooter the same. Did I spell them incorrectly? Shooter. Maybe I misspelled it. Maybe I added a space or something. Shooter. Anyways, I was able to, for example, under light gun, I added Lethal Enforcers. Under fighting game, I added Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter 2 Alpha just to test stuff out. So you can add stuff to existing things. But funny enough, I couldn't spell shooter correctly, but you know, who knows? Anyways, shooter. let's test it out. Hit the A button. There's the beautiful kind of screen that we had earlier that has the name of the game and shoot bombs. So again, you have to update this template manually just to make sure it works. And then also I forgot to look at the image on the screen. The image on the stock screen would have been there. And there we have our beautiful Raiden. I'm playing Raiden on my iiRcade cabinet. Yes, we're gonna hit that coin button. I'm gonna just shift this towards me a little bit. I'm gonna turn up some volume because I absolutely love this game. This is one of my favorite games. If iiRcade, I told them when they were still around, if they ever released an actual Raiden game, I would have bought it. And if they released a Raiden skinned cabinet, that would have been one of my dream arcade cabinets, is to have a Raiden themed actual arcade. So here it is, working. Controls are working already beautifully, up, down, left, right. There's my shoot button. There's my bomb button. And again, I just kind of assumed that it was going to work with the controls. I didn't really test any of the default controls, but it's really good. This version of MAME is really, really great. And the controls are working really smoothly. So for most part, I think the majority of games that run on MAME with just buttons and sticks, you should be able to just test out the controllers and see if it works. The only thing you'll need to do, again, make sure you test out the game in the actual version of MAME 221 on your PC first before you do any of the loading. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. You don't know which ROM that you're uploading. So eventually, there is going to be a community of people that are going to be building these zip iiGames files for the community. And so maybe in the future, you'll be able to see more of this already prepackaged in places like the Discord, where you might be able to find this stuff. But I like the fact that you can, customize this a little bit and make this your own. Find your own custom image, curate your own games list. Find the games that really matter to you and add those particular games. Give me that fairy. And make this kind of your ultimate MAME arcade machine. I think that's going to be the best case scenario for this machine, is to, most people were curating this iiRcade cabinet to be a selection of games that you really wanted to play. And this is really keeping that spirit of, a really customizable multicade alive. Yes, you can add anything you want to this at this point that's in MAME. But I'm just super excited that, oh, thank you, Fairy. You saved me, that we can do this. We can play all these games. I'm just excited that I have a really fun shmup on here. I'm probably going to make this, real dedicated shmup cabinet. And in fact, I might even do that whole thing where I remod this Dragon's Lair cabinet and skin it as a Raiden cabinet. I think it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And I already have my real arcade one up. Dragon's Lair, it's not real, but it looks closer to an arcade than this one. But yeah, I think that might happen. I might reskin this as a Raiden cabinet and go to town, because yes, I can beat these guys with my laser. No, bomb. Okay, bomb. Come on. All right, let me beat these guys. Yeah. All right. Anyways, exiting this. Look at the background. Beautiful image. You can kind of play around with that background image a little bit, make it a little bit cleaner. But here's some examples of other games that I've gotten working on here so far. Unfortunately, light guns aren't working just quite yet. There's going to be a future version of the iiRcade Mystery Interstellar mod that'll have more game in manager interfaces to get this working. So fortunately, no extra light guns just yet, but stay tuned. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make a tutorial just on how to add more light games if you have a Sindin. But I was testing some fighting games. So one of my favorite fighting games of all time, Marvel vs. Capcom. People have been asking for a Street Fighter 2 cabinet. You can definitely play Street Fighter Alpha 2, have the low, medium, high punch. And the cool thing about the fighting games that are on here, that configuration setup, I was worried that the stock setup wouldn't work that well. But, low, medium, high punch, low, medium, kick actually work with the default settings actually super well. So we're just throwing this in, and you can get in here and you can play Street Fighter, you can play Mortal Kombat, you can play NBA Jam. Anything that runs in MAME is going to run pretty well on this stock setup. You got your soundwall control sticks. I do need to update. I really do think I need to update and put more Samuel buttons in all of my button sticks. Oh, that's kicking my butt. Sorry, I am at a super weird angle playing this too. This is not. Let me do a super. Huh. Oh no. All right, 1, 2. No. No. Oh. All right, let me stand up. No. My buttons aren't tied down. Okay, sorry. This thing is all loose right now. Don't judge me for my game right now. But I gotta pull off at least one super. Let me just do a one fireball super. There it is. Get him. Oh wow. Okay. I'm all like double kicking, like I can actually do something. I'm such a weird angle right now. Okay, all right. I apologize for the really bad gameplay, but this was a really weird angle for me to play. I just wanted to demo that all 6 buttons were working. Marvel vs. Capcom, definitely my jam. No online play for this, but if you wanted to play locally, you can. I'm going to be testing out some of my greatest other games that I want to test out on here. Let me know in the comments what games you might be adding to this. If you have an iiRcade, this is now the ultimate MAME cabinet. Again, any game that you can think of that runs on MAME 221 on your PC, for the most part, should be able to run on this system. So don't just go loading up all 13,000 MAME games that you have on there. Really pick and curate the ones that you really want to test out on here. One of my favorite games on here from a shooting perspective, I really like Macross. I added Macross on here. This is one of the best shmups in here that I can think of. You can tell my Macross collection is awesome, but I think Mr. Encoder was telling me that some of the bezels might be able to be added in the future, so that'll be kind of a cool extra mod. And now I can play Macross, a shmup game here. So, I mean, I just might load this up with a ton of shmups. I think that might be what I do from this. Got a little bit of testing to do, but anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video. This just gives you a taste of things that you can do with this iiRcade. There's so many things that you can do with it at this point in time. Sky's the limit. Stay tuned to Mystery Encoder. Join the Discord to get the latest information. Check out the website, and hope you guys enjoyed this video. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.